Hey everyone, it's me, Jacob, back after from Shocky, Shocky, Rocky uploading. Just thought I'd do a bit of an update right at the start here. Uh, I've just graduated college, currently moved back home looking for a job, but because of that, my internet speeds have gone significantly down, and so it takes much longer to upload anything, along with me now doing like a part-time job, looking for work, and then choosing to spend time recording games instead of like playing with my friends. I've just been uploading basically nothing. I don't know if that will change. I don't know if I really have any plans for what I'm going to be doing. If I'll keep doing like roguelite let's plays or story-based let's plays of games. I'll be doing any edited videos. But I did want to just do what I've been using this YouTube channel for and just practice trying to make things that I consume. So here's my attempt at doing a little podcast where I just talk about what I've been playing, my thoughts on those things because they aren't recorded and up on the channel, and pick a little uh, audio log if it was a video game. So what have I been playing this last like month? I guess the first one I'm going to talk about is Doom 2016. I had recently seen Doom Eternal get like very good reviews. A YouTube channel I watch, Wooly Versus, was going through Doom 2016. Heard my friend Nick give high praise for both of the games, and so $5 on a Steam sale, decided to check it out. And I had like a very weird feeling each time I was playing. I started on Ultra Violence and then would play like one level a day. And because every time I finished a level, I would just not feel like playing another right after. It was almost, it felt draining to play. Like it was taking energy for me to do it. But like I still wanted to play more, but that was up until like the most recent time I played it. I returned from hell and I'm back on Mars, and just like I wasn't having fun. I was getting like bored with the game. I don't know if it's a mix of how I played it or just like the actual gameplay itself. But I was just like bouncing around the arena, switching more or less to random weapons and shooting things. Like I would die every once in a while, but not too often. And like, I don't know, it didn't grip me. It was a boring kind of repetitiveness. And I typically like grinding in games. But I was talking to my friend Ben about it, and he was saying usually in other games where you grind, it's because you're getting something while doing those repetitive tasks, like a meaningful reward, whether that's EXP, item drops, so you can craft new gear, or just wear the gear. But in like Doom Eternal, I'm just going from arena to arena, and I wasn't, how to say, like drawn in solely by the gunplay, because the game sort of, one of the reasons I wanted to check out Doom was there were some comparisons I heard from Castle Super Beast podcast where they were saying at least Doom Eternal is almost like Devil May Cry for first person shooters. where it's like about looking stylish, going from arena to arena with some like light platform puzzles in between. And I love Devil May Cry. So that's sort of what got me interested in trying Doom. But it just, I think the lack of story is a major component, because like in Devil May Cry, one of the rewards in my mind whenever you beat a mission is the cutscene that you get to watch with your main characters doing cool things, getting characterized, and also the seeing them have character. Like, yes, I get Doom guys angry from how he pushes buttons, but I just like didn't really care about Doom guy. I don't really care about what's happening on Mars. That just leaves it straight to the gameplay. It is just if you can have fun in these arenas with these various enemies hopping around. And it's just, it wasn't grabbing me. So for now, I have stopped playing Doom 2016. I don't know if or when I'll go back to it. I think I'm about halfway through, and that's where I've ended that. Another game I started playing, I actually started playing a few months earlier, was Tales of Vesperia. Now, the first Tales game I played was Tales of Berseria, with Velvet Crow as the lead character, and I like really liked that game. There was a point, I forget where I was, where I did like end up stopping for a while in the middle, but I did eventually come back to it, and sorry, just thinking. I did eventually come back to it, and when I did, like, I think I basically sat down for a week and ended up beating it. But since then, like, a few times I've kind of wanted to replay Berseria, but I wasn't sure if it would have the same charm, because I'd seen the skits, I knew the characters and the story, and I really loved the gameplay in it. But I was a little iffy on if I should replay it, and what if I should instead look at other games in the series. So I had talked to my friend Ben, who has played many Tales games before me, and basically the second game I started to play was Tales of Xillia, which I stopped after about like 10 hours. And then I have Tales of Vesperia, which I have also stopped after, let's see here, 14 hours basically. And it was another, I think, in the case of Vesperia, I felt like I was enjoying myself, but like similar, like kind of similar to Doom. I was just like not, maybe not similar to Doom. I actually did care about the characters in this game. I had a decent time with the combat, but I think an issue I faced was Berseria's combat was just so much fun. Like, I would grind in Berseria and enjoyed the fights. I enjoyed basically making my uh, Dante or Nero or my own fighting game character, like crafting a move list. And like actually moving around the arena was easy and fun. And like that game's combat, I think, is what really it was like the glue holding together all the characters, because I actually really liked Versaria's story. And specific, I really liked the cast probably most of all, but like the gameplay was maybe equal to the characters. Like I didn't, yeah, I found myself eventually like dodging fights after like 60 hours. I think in the final dungeon, like I started running past enemies. Before that point, I had fought almost everything because the fighting just was that fun. But like going back to these older Tales games, like they're both 3D, but initially they just have you run on like a straight line to your opponent as if it's 2D. And I think I've seen the older games were in fact 2D. So like to get free movement, you have to hold the button. And I just find like the combat awkward in those games compared to Berseria. Now, in Vesperia, I do still like the cast. Like they have a charm to them. But it's also uh, eh, I'll just say it hasn't like hooked me the same. Like I don't care about any of the characters the same really. They all sort of seem, I don't know how, I'm not sure how to phrase it. Maybe more, maybe not more anime, but it's just like they seem to be missing some like initial depth or interest with me. It does have like this slower pace, it feels like, between the characters, where I won't talk about it now, I'll talk about it later, sort of deal going on. I don't know, it's just with not as engaging combat and so far characters to me, like I don't feel a drive to be playing either of those games pushing forward. It kind of has an interesting like concept going on where basically have a much more it's not even Naruto Sasuke. It's just closer to like a Lelouch Suzaku thing where your main character and his best friend both want to change the system. You're the character you get to play as thinks this changing the system's too slow by working in it, and you can accomplish your goals much faster just doing your own thing. And the other is determined to work his way up the ladder, change the system from within. I like that as a concept, but it just wasn't enough to keep me interested. So then, uh, pretty soon after I moved back, I was at local game store in town, and I saw a Castlevania DS game, Order of Ecclesia. And I was always like, well, more recently I've been kind of interested in Castlevanias. Like, so many games it feels like are Metroidvania inspired, very good. But I've never played a Castlevania before, and this is like, to my knowledge, along the Symphony of the Night branch, where it has more traditional RPG elements in that you can grind, level up, and like change your character equipment. I'm not sure. I specifically do know the leveling up part does make it stand out to at least the older Castlevanias. But anyway, I just had a blast going through that game. I think it was pretty short. Like I only only took like 14 hours or so to beat on normal. And it was an experience I haven't had in a long time, where it was like a pure game. And what I mean by that is you just like started playing right away and it was just gameplay. There was like a single town where you talk to people. There are very short cutscenes where you can like talk. And it just got its hooks in me. Like I found it fun to be changing weapons and using different kinds of weapons in the game. I found it fun, unlike Doom, to just go through these levels and fight things, explore them. And I've been trying to think of what about them made it more enjoyable to me than Doom. Because it basically is extremely similar, where you you're just doing the gameplay, which is fighting monsters, exploring a level, finding secrets. Now that is like boiling it down extremely, but the games basically rely on the exact same loop, and there's some small like more of an inclusion of story in Ecclesia, because your character does actually talk. Like the the villains of the story, even if you don't get to talk to them much, you do talk to them, and it actually feels like there's a story there. But I was never really found myself moving forward because I wanted to like see the next story bit. Like just moving through the levels was more satisfying to me than in Doom's case. And I was much more fine and like almost enjoyed some moments of grinding where I just needed an item drop from some monster. And so it was just me leaving the room, re entering it to spawn the monster, and killing it over and over again. And I didn't find that because there was one point in the game where I started to get at like on a scale of 1 to 10, like a 1 in terms of being frustrated because I wasn't getting the drop for a while. So I left the area, came back later, and got it. But like, yeah, it was just a very pure, simple game. I did look up a guide for Dracula. Now, when I say guide, if you haven't played this Castlevania game before, like, I would say overall the game was pretty easy. Like, I never really stuck on any bosses. And but for this Dracula one, I made it through the first phase. He has a second phase. In it, he does a sine wave bat attack. But these bats, basically, if you get hit by one, you're like stun locked, instantly dead. And I could not figure out where to stand. So I died like 3 or 4 times, like making it to the second phase, and he would just eat me with the bats. And like, so that boss, like I saved right in front of the boss room, put the game down. A few days later, just looked up a guide, and by that I mean I watched a video of someone and just saw where they were crouching to avoid the bats' attacks. And yeah, like extremely fun game, and it's kind of got me interested in both trying Bloodstained Curse of the Moon, the sort of NES version of Bloodstain was made a game that came out somewhat recently by the creator of Castlevania. Like he left the company and made his own version on Kickstarter. And one of the rewards was he made like a short prologue game in like classic SNES graphics. And that is Curse of the Moon. So I'm more excited now to play that. Have that on Steam. It's got me more excited to try out Hollow Knight, which I've heard is very good, but much longer than Order of Ecclesia. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with that. Another game I've been playing recently, and even has made an appearance on the YouTube channel, was Risk of Rain 2. It finally came out of early access, and I uploaded like my first five runs from the 1.0 release, and I had planned to make that sort of a series, but first, immediately after those videos, my friend Nick was playing. We were doing co-op, and like I didn't want to record him. I didn't really want to record it, so we were just playing. And I've just been playing with him so much and playing on my own so much. I have unlocked everything at this point besides some mastery skins, which you get from beating the game with a character on the highest difficulty. But like, so me playing with him and truly just how much I was playing. I think I have like 50 hours in the last 2 weeks. Let's see here. Yeah, I have 56 hours in total, and most of that comes from playing it now, since the 1.0 release. And like I love the first Risk of Rain, and I like love this one even more. I just was grinding on it so hard, getting the unlocks and having fun like the entire time. There's one sort of bullshitty achievement of chasing crabs off the map, but it is a fantastic game. Like I think it might be my favorite roguelike or roguelite of the of any. Super fun, and I was just so into it. I wasn't recording anymore. On top of having worse internet, I wanted to figure out a way to record it because the files are pretty big and the game screen updates a lot. Like there's a lot of particle effects and explosions. I wanted to see how I could maybe lower the quality a bit, make video file size go down, along with a few other things, and me just getting sucked in and playing with my friends that I have not recorded more. Although maybe I will try a few more Risk of Rains popping up. I'm really not sure what to say. Like it's just such a fun game. Like, I feel like they've designed it so well to be a challenge and fun like almost every time. Like you can get screwed on items, but if you have enough skill, it doesn't really matter, and you should always get to a point in almost any run where you can overcome that lack of items. Basically, you have enough knowledge about the game to manipulate it to get what you need. The game has enough like systems in place where you should always be able to achieve something from your runs. But yeah, I've just been really enjoying that. And yeah, not really sure what else to say on Risk of Rain except future me, if you listen to this, you should probably replay some Risk of Rain. I'm sure there will be more updates, and you can always have fun with it. So, that leads me to the newest game. I think it's one of the newest games I've played. Well, I guess it depends when you consider Risk of Rain 2 coming out. But after talking to Ben, who was talking about buying Ghost of Tsushima, I also wanted to try a new video game and got Death Stranding. Now, I'm only 3 hours in. I've basically reached the part where you can actually start playing the game. If you remember the prologue mission of Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, in the hospital, that one takes about an hour to get through. And Death Stranding, it's interesting because it has some more gameplay mixed in, but I'd say it was probably about 2 hours before you can actually play the game. Like those first 2 hours are primarily cutscene and story, but I was thoroughly enjoying it because my first session was that first like 2 hours. I think I might have been playing it before work one day, but like I played it and was thoroughly engrossed the whole time in like this story and this world, and it had me hooked. Uh, it, even though it was mostly cutscenes, like the small tidbits of gameplay I got, I found it incredibly fun to walk around, like trying to navigate the escapes and basically a mix of a cinematic set piece and tutorial like mixed together. And I've unlocked like the main gameplay now, so I'm excited to see how that turns out. All I want to say about Death Stranding so far is it truly has an uncanny alien feel to it. I was explaining this to Ben, but the game can have like a very beautiful cinematography camera work. Like that seems on point just all the time. There's like this one weird scene where you're controlling a camera in the back of the car and you have full 360 view of which you can point the camera. And so I tried to like scan a lot to see if there were any hidden things, and I didn't. So I just ended up staring out the back of the van instead of looking at like the characters talking most of the time. So that was a little weak. That was like giving the player camera control. But then like sometimes a mix of the people's dialogue and their names. The dialogue is what feels so alien at times. Like it feels like someone who has never seen two humans talk wrote. And that does have a charm to it. A sort of Kojumbo, directed and written by Kojumbo charm. And it was part of the reason I liked the game. There's also like more normal dialogue. But then the names just like throw me for a loop. Like Die Hard Man, Sam Porter Bridges. And like I think it never seemed weird to me in Metal Gear Solid, in the Metal Gear series. When I brought up how I felt about these names to Ben, he had pointed out at those, and he's like, really? You weren't weirded out by Revolver Ocelot? Or, I can't think of anyone's name right now, Solid Snake as an example. Because that's like an espionage story, I assumed, like, it's all just code names. Wyatt, Revolver Ocelot, They don't need to have real names, and it just never seemed weird the entire time. But even though this takes place in like a sci-fi future America, it feels so like wrong to hear characters say Die Hardman. My name is Die Hardman, and I don't know. That takes me out slightly. But yeah, so 3 hours in, very long intro. Started to like get a little annoyed that I wasn't playing the game, but then immediately I started playing the game. My next session, been a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to playing more of it. So yeah, uh, maybe the last thing I'll talk about, going off of games. My friend Nick, he's under 2 weeks of quarantine. He's back in Canada, and in my opinion, he made the mistake of starting to watch One Piece. And after talking to him, it has motivated me to like go through my anime list, plan to watch list. So I've been watching Paranoia Agent. 6 episodes in. The only reason I wanted to watch it was it has Satoshi Kon's name on it. And it has been very enjoyable so far. I'd highly recommend it. My only complaint so far in the show, I'm 6 episodes in, is basically the entirety of episode 5. Like, I sort of get what is supposed to be happening. Light spoilers. Or no, I'll just say spoilers, I don't know. But in episode 5, at the end of episode 4, Shonen Bat, the antagonist of the show up to this point, a middle schooler who's been rollerblading around attacking people with a baseball bat, is captured. And so in episode 5, there's the interrogation with Shonen Bat, in which you find out he's like a delusional kid who thinks he's in an RPG. And the lead detective is getting very annoyed at this kid and how he's like describing everything. But then his sort of partner in the case, he's like younger and is able to talk to this kid. And the episode is like sort of a recap from the kid's perspective. And it becomes like a RPG thing, and it's a weird comedy episode almost. And like I seriously wanted to not watch the rest of the show at that point. I don't know what it irritated me so much because it was so different. And I didn't like the comedy. I didn't like how the kid was reacting or how the other detective was feeding into this fantasy. And it seemed too big of a departure for me. Like, I can understand it's I trust the directors of the show that this was an intentional feeling, like they wanted sort of the whiplash of the kid is sort of a delusional guy and we are going into his world during this interrogation. But I didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy the artistry. But on the next episode, it was immediately quote unquote back to normal. So yeah, that's been very good. I'll keep you updated. This has been Jacob, doing a podcast of sorts. Thanks for watching. We'll see if anything gets uploaded to YouTube. Maybe, maybe not.